Hello and thanks for tuning in to Kalkine TV. I'm James Preston and it's time for another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. Well, it's about lunchtime in Australia, and if you're yet to dive in head first to your spaghetti, you'll be drooling by the end of this expert talk with Rob Frank, the CEO of Verve Creative Events and Cheeky Food Events. Cheeky Food Events is a team-building cooking company that facilitates team building through fun cooking activities. Unlike traditional cooking classes, the company is not open to the general public and is specifically focused on strengthening corporate teams, which is a pretty delicious concept. To serve us up the recipe, it's my great pleasure to now welcome Rob Frank to the program. Rob, a very good afternoon to you.
And thank you. Good afternoon to you.
Well, Rob, great to have your company today. Now, this seems like such a fun and unique concept. Tell us a little bit about how Cheeky Food works and how it differs from other cooking classes.
Well, Cheeky Food Events is a cooking team building company. It's designed to bring corporate teams together so that they learn, collaborate, grow and laugh. People arrive, there are food and all the cooking utensils laid out on the table. A chef does an introduction, and then people get divided into teams, and the teams then progress to cook a meal together. It's usually a multi-course meal. They have a lot of fun doing it. They learn all the skills of cooking. They have to figure out how to bring it all together in time, and then once it's finished, they get to enjoy the fruits of their labour over a few glasses of wine. It's a really good way of a team bonding and growing together.
No, you're 100% right. If there's one thing that brings people together, it is food. Also, wine doesn't hurt, that's for sure. And look, recently I've bought a PS4. The only game I play on that is a game called Overcooked, which is basically a bunch of little virtual chefs running around trying to run a kitchen. When we do well on that, it's all like, oh, you're amazing, you're so talented. But if you've missed an order, I'll tell you what, the bickering starts. Do you ever get any of those clashes in the classes where people are saying, oh, no, I can't make this particular dish, I need help, and then it just turns into a bit of chaos?
It's all very, very well organised. We have chefs looking after everybody. So a qualified chef does an introduction, and then people are supervised as they cook their meals. They may cook a paella and tapas, or they may cook a three-course gourmet extravaganza. In all the years we've been doing this, there's never been an injury, and everyone has enjoyed the event thoroughly.
Yeah, no, it sounds fantastic, mate. Now, logistically, I could imagine it could be quite difficult, especially the last 12 months with COVID and a bunch of restrictions and things like that. How does it work exactly? Do you rent out the space and they come to it with the chef there, or what exactly do you do to make it as seamless as an experience as possible?
Well, as of sort of beginning of this year, things were coming back to normal. We were prior to the 1st of June, or prior to whatever it was in June, we were operating at about 70% capacity, and with the help of some very good marketing people, our inquiries were just going through the roof, and we had, so far, July is looking very healthy. Prior to that, we were running virtual events where we'd have a chef online who would teach people how to cook, and people would either get a list of ingredients where they'd go to the shopping centre and buy it, or we would ship out ingredients in cold packs, and they would open it up and there'd be a bottle of wine there to help along the way, and then people would join the chef online and cook a meal. So we had beautiful experiences of people with cooking gnocchi with burnt sage butter and pancetta and Italian salads. We had sort of left that behind up until a week ago because people are craving to get back together, and they will again. You know, we'll get through this crisis, this current crisis, and once more and more people are vaccinated, there will be confidence back in the market, and we'll be cooking up a storm with lots and lots of people together again.
Well, Rob, you mentioned people craving getting back to a bit of normalcy and things like that. I'll tell you what, when you're talking about gnocchi with burnt sage butter, I'm 100% craving lunch. I haven't had it yet, so I can't wait for it. But tell us a little bit about some of your current clients that you're working with. There are a few prominent ones, aren't there?
Yeah, we do work for lots of big corporates. We've just done a big job for a senior executive team from Quarry Bank. We're working with Essity for a job for 65 people in Cairns at the end of the month. We're currently having conversations with Amacium for a big event. We've done lots of work with Atlassian. We did an event for 1,000 people with them a couple of years ago, before COVID, whereby we donated all the food to charity. So the participants prepared meals, and there were big refrigerated trucks waiting out the back. Those meals were then distributed directly to homeless people on the night.
Oh, man, that's a beautiful gesture. I love seeing things like that. When you're doing these big ones like the 1,000-person event, do you have sort of like a celebrity chef that comes in? What are the kind of chefs that you're working with?
We have lots of chefs, qualified chefs on staff. And we have a ratio of chefs to participants. So for every 20 participants, there's a chef. 25 participants, there's a chef. And they're all qualified chefs. We design menus around what the client's requirements are. And we're just in the process of developing a new product, which is around bush food and involving some Indigenous chefs who will not only teach people to cook bush tucker, but also share something of Indigenous culture to help people understand what the history of this country is really all about.
Yeah, no, wonderful initiative there, Rob. And I'm just wondering as well, what's the journey been like so far? Obviously, you sort of start, I guess, at a smaller base and then you expand out. What's that process been like, and what are the plans for the near future?
Well, we operate across every state of the country. Certainly the East Coast is where we're working at the moment. We've got a presence in Melbourne where we have equipment and chefs, and we've got a presence in Brisbane. WA is a little bit harder for us at the moment, although we have worked in WA. We have a number of expansion plans in the works at the moment, including acquiring our own premises so that we don't have to rely on hotels and other venues. That means that we can better service our clients and offer a more certain product, and that will provide cost savings as well. We are looking at developing new products. As I mentioned, the Indigenous product is one of them. We're also looking at incorporating disc profiling into the program, whereby delegates or guests are provided with a questionnaire to fill out, and that then is unpacked at the event. People then get divided into groups according to their disc profile, and they work together and understand more clearly the strengths and weaknesses of each member of the group and account for those. It's a very, very powerful way of a group understanding how best to work together.
Yeah, it's a great point. There are so many different ways that people approach cooking, whether it's like myself, someone who likes to delve into those sort of extravagant dishes but creates an absolute mess in the process. Just on that point, when you're doing these sort of team building things, do you tend to see a different side of, say, a CEO who might be, quite firm, quite to the point, and do they tend to open up quite a bit to the rest of the team when it's doing something perhaps a bit more vulnerable like this?
We have lots of people who come along, and particularly a lot of males who say, "I've never cooked before." It's amazing to think that in this in 2021, there are men out there who've never been in the kitchen, but it's still the case. And without exception, although they might grizzle at the beginning because they say this is not my job, by the end of it, they're just having the most fantastic time, and they're learning. And they go home. They say, "I'm going to go home and cook a meal for my family. I've never done that before, but I've learned something." It's really interesting to see how groups interact. What we try to do is be agnostic in terms of the way we divide up the teams. So the CEO will be put in a team with a personal assistant, and it's really interesting to see how in a situation like that, the hierarchy is flattened and people work together in a way that, because they have a common short-term goal to achieve, which is cooking a fabulous meal and winning the Best Chef Award. And so they work together in a quite an intense way, and people's characteristics and talents really shine. It's a fantastic way to understand how people work.
Oh, Rob, completely agree. I mean, cooking is such a wonderful art that brings so many people together. Just before I let you go, what is your personal favourite dish that Cheeky Events puts out? And if it happens to come across to the personal life, what's your favourite dish there as well?
My personal favourite is the paella. We do a paella and tapas, which has got Spanish meatballs and salads and beautiful desserts. And the paella itself has got prawns and chorizo and chicken in it. And of course we do versions for dietary requirements. So we have vegan versions and vegetarian versions and gluten-free versions. But I've got to say that the paella is top of the pops.
Well, look, Rob, I'm actually going to have to grab a tissue right here because I am drooling off the back of hearing all about that delicious paella. Look, fantastic to chat to you today, mate, and best of luck for the future with Cheeky Events.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share our thoughts, and please look us up, cheekyfoodevents.com.
Perfect. Well, that's Rob Frank, the CEO of Verve Creative Events and also Cheeky Food Events. Really cool concept. And if you missed any part of the chat, it'll be up on Kalkine Media's YouTube channel very soon. And of course, you can browse the entire catalogue of our other Executive Corner expert talks. I'm James Preston for Kalkine TV, and there's more on the way. And just a little reminder to stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.